Most of you know by now about the illegal arrest and imprisonment of John Carpe, president of the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. I promised you an in-depth interview with John so you can get the full story directly from him. I did that interview in person with John this week, and it will be released next week as a free interview. The JCCF has been fighting for our rights in the courts since the start of the COVID narrative, but unfortunately, in many cases, the courts are upholding these violations. This past Tuesday, JCCF lawyers working on behalf of 11 Canadians illegally detained in COVID hotels were scheduled to have their case heard by the Federal Court of Appeal. In June 2021, the federal court decided that the mandatory hotel quarantine facilities were constitutional under the notwithstanding clause. But the court did find that in most cases, their right to legal counsel was denied. As a result, the federal government was directed to advise all air travelers that they had a right to speak to a lawyer before being directed to a quarantine facility or a quarantine hotel. Lawyers funded by the Justice Center argue that the federal government's forcible confinement of law-abiding citizens was an unconstitutional infringement of their rights. They had also planned to defend against a motion brought by the federal government to have the challenge dismissed as moot because the measures no longer exist. This in regard to the Brian Peckford travel ban case, a gross miscarriage of justice, somewhat akin to declaring an assault case moot because the assault is no longer in progress. Despite an order by the court to expedite the appeal, it has taken over 1 year for the appeal to be heard, or rather, not heard. Once again, the court refused to hear the case because the COVID hotels are also, in their opinion, moot, as they are no longer in effect. You're probably getting tired of hearing me say this, but the obvious reason for these non-judgments is that they're planning to do it again.